Hello, everybody. It's Rick. It is October 13th, 2019. If you want to reach out to me, my email is rick0327@me.com. Okay, it'll be in the description. Sorry, there's no webcam of my handsome face. Something's going on. I upgraded software on my Mac, and I don't know. I don't have access to my webcam on the screen recorder software I'm using. So whatever, you can still see the information. So it's probably better this way anyway. That's what I used to do a long time ago. All right. So I'm not a legal professional. I'm not soliciting. Okay. I have paperwork that have helped people in the past. You can have access to it in exchange for a gift. You'd have to email me. My email is rick, rick0327@me.com. All right. Everything that I say here, you should double check yourself. Any decision you make is your decision. Okay. I make no guarantees. All right. We're going up against a monster. All right. But you got to fight these people. They use trickery all the time. Okay. To give you an idea about my paperwork, I rarely have anybody unhappy with my paperwork. Okay. All right, instructions. Hey, Rick, I wanted to comment on your last video. If anyone is hesitant, they should really get your paperwork. It works for a multitude of scenarios. In addition to your videos, you give more than anyone could ask. Thank you. For the gift amount, you're getting more than it's definitely worth it. Let's put it that way. Okay. For the price of what it would cost you to sit down for a half an hour with an attorney and then be lied to, you could have my paperwork, and then you could file the paperwork and go into court, fight these people. Also have paperwork to for DMV. I've helped people get their driver's license back. I've helped people clear up their credit. Okay. Right here. One of my guys, Andrew, he's from Chicago. He had this credit, child support taken off his credit report in Chicago, right here. Okay. Andrew's a fighter. He's been fighting these people for a while. This is another guy who received my paperwork. Again, I provide a lot of paperwork. All right. And then to show you that my paperwork is effective, I could show you the trickery. Okay. Now, this may have happened to some of you, and I'm showing you this so you could be prepared. All right. This is another one of their tricks. All right. So what happened was he sent in one of my affidavits requesting under U.S. Code 31 USC 3716. They have to give you an opportunity to inspect and copy the records of the agency related to the claim. Okay, so what we're doing is we want to see the records. Well, they don't have any records. All they have is a court order, or really what it is an administrative order from either a fake judge, judge surrogate, or a judge who's really a contractor. Okay, they're contracted with the federal government under 42 USC. Under the incentive clause 658. Okay, well, actually it's 654 subsection 7 in a co-op agreement. Okay, so what it is everybody that works in the courthouse, they're contracted to help the state collect their money for child support. And what they do is they collect your information, they file the paperwork, and it's all to make it look like it's a court. See, what they do is they do it inside of a courthouse, but it's really administrative proceeding. All they're doing is really renting out the courthouse so the backdrop looks like you're in court. It's really very clever if you think about it. I mean, it is quite effective, and everybody that you see in the courtroom, they're contracted. They're contractors. Most of them don't know it. They just get, but what it is their salary is being paid from the money from the Title 4D money. Okay. Let me just. Okay. State plan. 654 state plan. Okay. Here. Subsection 7. Provide for entering into cooperative arrangement with appropriate courts and law enforcement officials. Okay, law enforcement means the full range of potential responders to elder abuse. See, it's always under a different thing. All right, this is all from like medical care. That's really what this is all about. Okay, I'm not going to get into all that. I've covered that in past videos. It's just I wind up going off in a different direction than what I really want to do. What I'm just showing you is that. It's they're in a cooperative agreement with the courts. Okay. Also, it's under 45. What is it again? No. What is it? 40. No, I don't want to. Okay, yeah, so here we have 45 CFR 302.34 cooperative arrangements. Okay, the state means the several states, District of Columbia, the Commonwealth. Well, that's not true. As I'll show you later on in the video. All right, they enter a cooperative arrangements under 303.107, we'll show that in a second, with appropriate courts, law enforcement officials, such as district attorneys, attorneys general, and similar public attorneys and prosecutors, correction officials, Indian tribes organizations. All right. So everybody that you see working there, they're working with Title 4D agency to help carry out the program. So they're all in on it. They're all contractors. So you could throw this at their face. All right. Just some more information for you. Okay, so here you'll see one of my people sent in the paperwork asking to see the records under 31 USC 3716, so you can copy and record them. And this is one of their tricks right here. I am responding to your Freedom of Information request. Okay, this is fraud, people. This is how I want you to respond. He didn't know how to respond, so this is what I told him to do. Unless they can show on a piece of paper where you cited a review of records under the Freedom of Information Act, they are misrepresenting the law and the facts. And misrepresentation is another word, is lying. Okay, and they're wasting your valuable time, and they're trying to trick you. That's fraud. Okay, it's fraud. You have to be aware that these people they're never going to play fair with you. And I cannot teach you every possible scenario. I provide a lot of paperwork for you, but I can't cover everything. And this guy's a very nice guy, but he was like all confused. It's like, dude, I can't I can't teach you you have to understand that you got to read it and see you didn't send in a Freedom of Information request. So that's right there a telltale sign that they're playing games. They're hiding behind some other BS, law or act or whatever. Okay? And then he'll ask for a copy. He's asking for copies of the debt, and they show a court order. Court order is not a copy of the debt. Again, what they do is they create a debt out of thin air, and then they claim you owe it. Okay? What information, what evidence did the mother, if you're a male, and the father, if you're a female, of your offspring, what did they submit to show that you owe X amount of dollars? You understand? What they do is they just create a debt out of thin air. They'll say, okay, you should have been paying this much money, and they'll go back 5 years or whatever, and next thing you know, you owe $100,000. And it's nothing but an arbitrary number. That's the reason why you have to ask them for copies. You got to make it hard on them. And that's what we're doing, and this is how they respond. So that's what I'm showing you, that my paperwork is effective. For them to do this, obviously we're asking the right questions. Okay? So I'm showing you this if you're thinking about getting my paperwork. And listen, I don't know, I don't watch other channels like I used to. I really I get burnt out on this stuff. I get emails all day from people, and I try and help people as best I can. All right. This is not a job for me. I volunteer my time. All right. I'm not a business. All right. But hey, listen, I don't know what's going on. If there's anybody out there making videos about me, calling me a fraud or whatever, and all right, all I'm telling you is I'm not. All right. And it's just trickery from other trolls. Trust me, there are trolls out there in the YouTube world feeding you wrong information purposely, because they know there's a growing number of people educating themselves on the fraud in the courts. So, you could have some troll channels out there giving you the wrong information. Okay? Telling you not to file a writ of habeas corpus. Okay? Any type of restraint on your liberty, you can file a writ of habeas corpus. But you have to file a non-statutory writ of habeas corpus. And trust me, the response we get from that is unbelievable too. All right? So let's move on. Okay, so here when you show up, a lot of times people ask me, what do I say? What do I do? Here's the thing. I'm going to show you a bunch of things that is really all a fraud. All right, and I showed you the last video from when the U letter. Okay, where everything is addressed to an actor named you. Okay. Right here, one of these letters, all right? All of you have received some type of letter like this. And there's an actor named you. But really, what I mean by an actor is a noun, is a thing, is a person, I should say. Not even a person, a people. I try going through a day without using the word person. It's unbelievable. Because we know, those of you that are learned in this, you know that a person is an artificial being. It's your all capitals letter, all uppercase spelling of your name. But I'm not going to get into that. But really, you're a people. You're a human being. That's what they do. They reclassify you. They rename you. Okay? But here it's you. So you have to find out who you is. So, anyway, what I'm showing you here now is that you're not going to consent or accept services for child support. Now, this is interesting. Somebody sent me what they received. There's an agreement. I'm leaving out the name on the bottom, but parent or non-parent custodian applies for DCS enforcement services. You see that? It's nothing but you're a customer. They're a customer. So you can't they can't force services onto you. So that's why you do not consent or accept services. I'm not consenting, and I'm not accepting services. Remember, I keep harping, and I'm going to show you again on the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act says clearly you have to consent and submit to the jurisdiction of the court. Okay, so this is proof right here. I ask, so whoever the I is the man or woman signing at the bottom line. I ask the Division of Child Support to enforce this order, including collection of child support and other obligations from wages, earnings, assets, benefits of, again, there's that word, person that owes support. Okay, and enforcement of liens against real or personal property. And here they pay $25 fee. Okay, so this is nothing more than a service-based contract. And you don't have to accept the contract. Okay, now, you can also respond. You can write this down on paper and communicate to the court by paper and expect a response in writing. All right, that's another reason why you get the paperwork from me, is you file the paperwork before you show up. And a common response is that they'll just say, "Oh yeah, the paperwork is dismissed," and they cannot do that. They have to respond in writing. See, everything that they do, they have to support. Everything has to be supported by fact or evidence or a law. Everything that they do. Okay, that's the reason why they use intimidation over you, fear, and fraud. Okay? They use fraud to get you there. The U letter I was telling you, they'll threaten arrest, suspension of your driver's license, a default judgment to get you there. And then once you get there, and when you show up scared, you're not. What you're doing is you're waiving personal jurisdiction. Okay, and here's something you need to remember: anytime that they're lying to you in court, they're committing fraud. Okay, just remember that. Excuse me, are you lying to me? Because the way I understand it, lying is fraud. Because they're supposed to tell you the truth. Okay? All right, so here's some questions. Am I free to leave? If no, then it is your understanding, meaning you, that the court must have evidence of probable cause to restrain you. Remember, they didn't bring you there in a police car in handcuffs. So technically, you showed up voluntarily because they sent you a threatening letter. So you got to ask them, am I free to leave? Why did I show up here? If I didn't show up, was I going to be arrested? What's the evidence of probable cause? See, anytime you're not free to go, you're technically arrested. So they need probable cause. All right, so please show the evidence of probable cause. It's my understanding that my consent is needed if I am not arrested or restrained. Is my understanding correct? Please explain. These are things you can write down on paper. Okay? All right, this is the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act. Always contest the proceedings and explain that it's your understanding of the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act basis for jurisdiction over non-residents, Article 1, Section 201, that you must submit to the jurisdiction of the court. Go to Google, okay, you know what I'll do? I'll leave a link in the description, okay? And Okay? Right? You go to the website and you can print this out. It's on page 14, I believe. Nope. My belief was wrong. Here it is. Page 17. All right? And you print out this page and you bring it with you. Okay? All right? So this is what you got to do is you got to show them their rules, procedures, laws, whatever they're claiming that they can use against you. Well, here's the thing. This all plays into what I'm telling you, why they need your consent. See, they're tricking you to believe that they have jurisdiction over you, but they really need your consent. So what they do is they scare you, they trick you, they lie to you, and those are all bases, all grounds for fraud. And you have to start asserting that it is your understanding that them lying to you is grounds for fraud. And they must dismiss the case immediately. Okay? So I keep harping on this because it's very important. The individual submits to the jurisdiction of this state, we're going to get into this, by consent and a record by entering a general appearance or by following a responsive document having the effect of waiving any contest. Remember I told you got to contest to personal jurisdiction. Now remember, this is all based on this two-letter word right here, if. The state may exercise jurisdiction over a non-resident individual if. Okay? But here's another thing. Are you a non-resident? No. You live in the States. How can you be a non-resident? Because what they're doing is they're trying to force an interstate commerce, interstate law. And they're doing it in this every state has the same exact law. It's basically the same words, word for word. So in the state law says non-resident as well. So as soon as you assert you're a state citizen and you're domiciled in the state, this doesn't apply to you because you're not a non-resident. Okay? How can this apply to you? How are you a non-resident in the state where you live? You want to know why? I'm going to show you why now. All right, this is for your information here. This is what I was telling you when they lie to you. All right, so, all right, freeze the video here and read this. This is important. Anytime they lie to you, it's just what I was just saying before. Okay, it's fraudulent misrepresentation. You know, lying. Misrepresentation is lying. Okay, this is more proof that they need consent from you. All right, you can read this. All right, this is intended. This 659 was intended for federal employees, okay, members of the armed forces of the United States, okay, the United States and District of Columbia. Read this. I went over this in the past. All right, this is the definition of a private person. All right, private person means a person who does not have sovereign or other special immunity. So that means that there are people with sovereign or special immunity or privilege. You know who that is? That's the state citizens, people that are residing in the state. Okay? Federal jurisdiction is the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam, American Samoa. Okay? That's where the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act is applicable. That's the state that they're talking about. Okay, these are the case laws that support. Dozens, perhaps hundreds of court cases prove that federal jurisdiction is limited to the few federal areas above indicated right here. Also, another thing real quickly, when you see the word includes really means is limited to. So it says federal jurisdiction includes the District of Columbia. What it really means is just, X this out. Federal jurisdiction is limited to the District of Columbia. You understand? See how the trickery? Nothing but trickery. Okay? All right. On page 11, Uniform Interstate Family Support Act definition. State means a state of the United States. A state of the United States. You know what the United States is? District of Columbia. Okay? Let's see the trickery. It's not the 50 states. It's the state. It's really the District of Columbia. Puerto Rico, United States Virgin. This is what we were talking about before. All right? So this doesn't apply to us. And the trickery is unbelievable. All right? It doesn't apply. From what I understand, this is what you're going to say. The state, I don't reside in a federal jurisdiction. This doesn't apply to me. That's why they use the term non-resident. Definition of state is not the same as the 50 states, all right? Same thing. All right, we went over this before. This is about the sovereignty of citizens. You have to. Here's another thing. It's really tough for me because a lot of you, you're not experienced enough in court, but you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to trust. Trust your eyes, trust your ears. That's the reason why I do slides. A lot of times, most of my slides are cut and pasted from the internet or screenshotted. All right, it's not. So what I'm doing is I'm showing you actual facts, published facts. All right, and then it's up to you, to look it up. All right, but I'm showing you their own words. Okay, and I'm showing you case law. All right. So we have in our political system a government of the United States and a government of the several states. You understand? We have two governments. We have a government, all right, in the District of Columbia, and then you have your state government, all right? Each one of these governments is distinct from the other, and each has citizens of its own who owe its allegiance and whose rights within its jurisdiction it must protect. So that's the reason why, like when you go to court and you tell them, I'm a state citizen and I'm sovereign, they start with the sovereign citizen nonsense because they know this is true. They know you actually have sovereignty. All right, there are I don't want to curse, a lot of founding father quotes out there showing them, talking about sovereignty. 1 second. Okay, this here is a response from one of my people in Texas. All right, he submitted a lot of my paperwork. He also, he added his own stuff as well. He made it his own. Okay, this is a 17-page response. Okay, from an attorney in the Attorney General's office. Okay, so look what they do here. Sovereign immunity. The Office of the Attorney General asserts sovereign immunity. Now, how come they have sovereign immunity and you don't? You understand? See, I'm showing you right here. This is what they do. Official immunity, qualified immunity, public duty doctrine. These are all things that they allege protect them. But it only protects them when they're acting in accordance with their oath, when they're not violating your federal rights, your constitutional rights, or your state rights. But isn't this, hilarious how they have sovereign immunity? All right. And then she pulled out all the tricks. And I could do a video. Oh, here. Plaintiff argues that the 30th District Court of Brazoria lacked personal jurisdiction because he was not a federal employee or member of the armed forces, and that, which is true. So she doesn't make any arguments here. She doesn't rebut this. So this must be true. But then this is where she throws a little trickery. He also claims he's a sovereign. He never claimed to be a sovereign citizen in the paperwork. And what he did was he went back at her and he called and he says, why are you calling me a domestic terrorist? She's like, I didn't mean to call you. He goes, that's exactly what you did when you called me a sovereign citizen. So this is more proof of the trickery that and the lengths that they'll go. Okay? But I'm showing you because he never. She never rebutted this. It's the truth. They don't have personal jurisdiction over him. And then again, like I said, she throws in this little trickery. All right, so getting back, okay, again, remember, this is an important case law, 1875. It's proof that there are two citizens, there are two classes of citizens. There's a United States citizen, okay, a citizen of the United States, and then you have a state citizen, okay? How can you be a United States citizen if you're residing in your state? Okay? So really what you are, you're a state citizen. So that's just, again, more trickery. Now, I'm going to show you that there are two types of state. If you go through their paperwork, like right here, they spell state with a capital S. Okay? When they spell it with a small s, that governs the a state in ordinary sense of the Constitution is a political community of free citizens occupying a territory of defined boundaries. Okay? That's the state line. Okay? That's anytime you are inside whenever you cross from your state into another state, that's a boundary. They'll have a sign there. It says, you're now entering, if you live in Georgia and you're going into Alabama, so you're crossing over a boundary. Okay? It's established boundaries. That's a state. Okay? And organized under a government sanctioned and limited by a written constitution, your state constitution, and established by the consent of the governed. Okay, you have to consent. They need your consent. Okay, and this is why they go to so many lengths to trick you, intimidate you, lie to you. Okay, because you have to consent for them to have personal jurisdiction over you. And I just showed you before where an assistant attorney general didn't rebut it, didn't refute it. Okay. So again, this is the case law. This is a good minute and a half snippet on state citizen rights. I suggest you watch it. Just copy this down. I'll put it in the description. The link to watch it. It's really interesting. Okay. Again, your consent is needed because you do not reside inside the federal jurisdiction. All right? I showed you the case laws. Okay? So this is precedent. This is where the courts recognize this. All right? This is two case laws. This is Supreme Court case law, Pollard versus Hagan, and Caha versus United States. Okay? All right, you guys can read this. All right, here you go. So you guys can read this. This is just information for you guys, all right? So you guys can freeze this, copy it down. All right, same thing here. Don't let them call you a sovereign citizen. Or right at the outset say, I am not a sovereign citizen. Do not call me it. Okay? Do not profile me. It's my understanding that state employees enjoy 11th Amendment sovereignty. I understand that state citizens are sovereign under the state constitution. And if I do not reside inside the federal jurisdiction, this law does not apply to me. It doesn't apply to me because I'm not a non-resident. Okay? Right here, non-resident. Okay? All right, here's some case laws for you guys. Again, this is me, Rick. All right, you can read that. All right, what I'm doing here now is I'm going to show you guys some really good case laws. All right, here's something. A lot of you guys send me emails. They have absolutely no power. I mean, listen, I get it, guys. They do a lot of things they don't have power to do. I get it. All right. You just have to arm yourself with information. All right, and the more you know, the better you are when you go to court. All the people that have used my paper had success. They studied their ass off. They went in court and they knew their stuff and they fought. And let me tell you, they're fearful of people who are armed with knowledge. I'm just telling you, happened to me too. Okay, all right. So this is showing you that that they cannot. What they do is they force one parent to have all the custody of the children. They can't. That's your property. All right. Both of you made those, offspring. So you have shared their property. They're your property. But you have a duty to support your property, don't you? Well, then you part of that duty is you're supposed to, you're supposed to spend time with your children. Okay. A lot of you are like, Rick, I don't get custody of my. They can't take it. You have to contest it and say you have no right to take my children from me. I want 50-50 custody. And trust me, it's sad. They will fight you on it because, again, they want to force the Title 4D so they can receive the money. Okay? But you got to make it hard on them. All right? So I'm going to show you guys here the case laws. You guys can read it, and then I'm going to shut the video down because it's gone on long enough. Okay? And I'll leave the links in the description. Okay? Do not consent. Do not accept their services. You are not a non-resident. Okay? I am not a non-resident. This only applies to non-residents. Look up your state uniform interstate family support act. All right? And then make a copy of it, bring it with you. Because it's the same exact thing. Okay? All right? These are case laws. Okay, quickly, I'm showing you that the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act in New York, okay, jurisdiction, all right, basis for jurisdiction over non is the same word for word as what I showed you, okay. Okay, here, right? Okay, and here's Alabama. Individual submits to the jurisdiction of the state by consent. Okay, you understand? See, it's word for word. It's the same thing. All right. So everybody in every state. That's why they need consent. Every state. All right. I just proved it to you. All right. All right, guys. I hope this video you learned something. All right. Do your own work. Again, I know it's a lot of information. All right. It's tough, It's just understand that they need your consent and just stand your ground. All right, put it on paper. My paperwork does a good job of challenging jurisdiction. I just showed you, one of my people in Texas. Okay, Gary, who this is what they did, and this. They couldn't prove personal jurisdiction, so I had to go the sovereign citizen route. Okay, just showing you the trickery. Again, guy asking for to view and copy the records, and they're claiming he's asking under Freedom of Information Act. Okay, all these little tricks. So, we're obviously asking the right questions. All right, guys, this is Rick. I'll talk to you guys later.